Hello everyone. So unfortunately I wasn't able to get a video last week. It was just too busy, had too much going on. I did make progress on the Mustang on something I thought was going to be pretty easy, and I really wish I could have recorded it because I was struggling. But I guess for today I just kind of wanted to at least go over what I got done so there's not any skips in the progress that I'm being made. So yeah, I'll go ahead and turn this camera around and show you what I got going on. So as you can see, the intake and the valve covers are off, and the valve covers are deceptive. Everything looks easily accessible, and then you realize how, I guess, what do you want to say, tall all of this is, how much space you need to pull off those covers, and that's where I was fighting for the longest time. So on the passenger side was really not too bad. I had to go buy a tool to disconnect this fuel line, which I'll probably go and find that tool later just to show it. And then the other thing that faulted me was this insulation here on this AC line. You can see it tore off a chunk, but other than that, nothing else really faulted me on this side. I did move this clamp here because I thought this line was gonna have to come off, but it was flexible enough that I could get the cover off without doing anything with that line. So really it was just the fuel line and this insulation that made it fight me. Now the driver's side was a nightmare. I was standing inside the engine bay yanking as hard as I could. Good thing I didn't break anything. At least I don't think I broke anything. I hope not. But I ended up having to take off so much more stuff than I was expecting to. There's a wasp flying around my head. Hopefully he's just listening in. Anyway, I just started taking off stuff one at a time. I was like, okay, I'm gonna take the power steering reservoir loose. That should give me a little more space. Nope, still couldn't move it. It's like, all right. Honestly, after that, I really didn't want to take anything loose. So I just kept trying to fight it and wiggle it and see if it would come out, and it didn't. So I think next the master cylinder, or the brake reservoir here, I loosened the bolts or the nuts that were on this side, on both the top and bottom. So this is loose. I didn't break any of the lines loose. I tried to, but then I gave up on it because it started to kind of round, and that was definitely something I didn't want to happen. So it is loose. It has some wiggle in it now. Before it was, further out this way, and these little valves here were sticking out kind of in the way. So I loosened that, still couldn't get anything out of it. So then I started looking up this clutch cable, how to get this out, because I've never messed with that before. So the clutch cable is loose from the pedal and from the bottom down there, which you're not really going to be able to see. And when I took the clutch cable out of the firewall, it sprung out. I didn't realize how much tension it had. It sprung out and hit me straight in the eyebrow. So that felt great. And at that point, I was just so happy to have something else loose. I didn't even care. It didn't affect me. But yeah, so I got the clutch cable loose and still couldn't get the cover out. So last thing I did, I didn't take it all the way out, but I took all of the bolts out of the hydro boost, and so that fluid all kind of drained out below, which I would have cleaned if it weren't for the fact that the engine were open right next to it. I didn't want to risk spraying water or anything in there. So I didn't take this out. I just got myself some wiggle room, and that was everything it took in order for me to get this valve cover out. And even then, it still fought me. It still was not easy coming out. It was difficult, because from my perspective, before I had all of this off, I thought it was really just going to be as simple as taking the bolts loose and pulling the covers out. And of course, that's just not how it was going to go. I've been keeping them covered, the hood closed, and the car cover over it. But I guess because these are so dry, there's some surface rust starting to appear. So I'm gonna have to clean that up some, as well as just trying to clean all this junk out of here. I still haven't drained the oil yet, because I knew I was gonna be taking all of this off, and hopefully maybe I can just pour some oil in here or something, or, well, I guess if anyone's got any recommendations, but hopefully I can just kind of clean this out and then drain the oil. And by the time I get to the point where hopefully this thing starts running, I mean, I'll be changing the oil early anyway. So I'm hoping I can just kind of flush all this stuff out. I'll do my best to avoid getting any more junk in here. I did vacuum and clean the engine bay before I started taking these covers off, but it is still really dirty. So some stuff did fall in. You can kind of see it on those old seals, which is the reason I was even doing this, is because the tube seals were bad. But that is what I got done last weekend. This weekend, I'm just kind of waiting to finish getting those valve covers done. I went and bought some paint, which I just got a gloss black. The valve covers and everything looked kind of rough, so I figured I would go ahead and paint them while they're off anyway. So I'll paint those, get the gaskets in, and then I'll probably just go back together with it all. I'm gonna look into some more stuff before I put everything back together to make sure that I'm ready to. But I really don't want to have to do a ton of disassembly if it's not necessary, because I think I mentioned it before, but the vehicle was running when it was parked. You know, it wasn't parked due to any type of engine issues. So ideally, I don't have to disassemble everything. I do have to figure out how to get these, or this coolant pipe, however this comes out. That would be the only thing that keeps me from putting everything back together when I get it done, because I have no clue how these pipes are secured. I don't know if they're like part of the lower intake, or that would seem kind of crazy to me, but I guess it's possible. I'll probably replace the alternator. It might work, but I don't know. It looks a little funky, and I'd have to get those pipes out the way in order to get it out. But yeah, honestly, I think once I get this part done, once I get these covers and everything done, is when I'll really start going at it and just, full sending on getting this thing up and running again. I do have to do a lot with the fluids and flushing them, but I think I'll probably move away from the engine bay for a second and just go to something that's a little more like something I know, something a little easier. I'll probably get to brakes and suspension. And I say I know it, but I haven't done it before on this car, and I haven't done a whole lot of it, but it's something I at least have a little more confidence in than tearing all this stuff down. I did take pictures before, so hopefully because I do have like some hoses that fell off at some point during taking all of this apart. So just some like vacuum hoses, plus some hoses that are just old. So I have to figure out where everything goes. I think, I said I'd get a game plan together, but I haven't. I do want to get a battery, not to try and start it obviously, but just to, I guess, see if I can get some power in there and just, I don't know, get a look at what's going on. One of the main issues, I don't know if I've mentioned it, the reason it was parked was one of the oil cooler lines was leaking. So I think you can maybe see, I think those are the lines right there. I could be mistaken. Those look wet, so they were apparently leaking oil pretty profusely. So I will have to address that, as well as all of these pulleys. I don't know the best way to go about it. If I can just take the pulleys off and clean them maybe, or replace them if I have to, but I don't know if all that rust will like tear up a belt, or as far as I can tell, they're turning. Maybe not as freely as they should though, but I don't know. They feel okay, but with that kind of thing, if something happens there, then suddenly I don't have power steering or don't have AC. You lose a lot more than just whatever pulley goes bad if the belt starts coming loose or getting torn up. I think I'm just kind of rambling at this point. I haven't even been keeping track of what I'm saying, but I did just want to make a video kind of updating everything to show where I was. I really wish I could have recorded it, because it was quite the struggle. But yeah, other than that, I'll try and make a video next weekend, and hopefully I'll have some progress by then, or something to do. Just kind of taking it easy this weekend. So yeah, thank you for watching.